Believers, in this video, I want to explain what friendship really is. I read once, it was a Dutch magazine. This is not really important to even remember which magazine it was, but it was a magazine for young people. And they asked various Dutch youth what friendship means to them. And all of them gave different answers, but they all answered one thing in common: someone you can rely on and someone that meets your expectations. So friendship to those Dutch youth meant that they have expectations and someone else validates their expectations. Okay? When you check surveys of other places on what people consider friendship, you'll find similar things. Worldlings, they want their expectations validated. So when you validate their expectations by submitting to their restrictions, then you are a friend of theirs. So that's the world's definition of friendship. That's what the world means, that they're friends with you. That means that they have restrictions and you kindly submit to their restrictions without questioning it. The moment you begin to question their restrictions and you begin to negotiate with them, you're not a friend anymore. What is real, true friendship? Christ said it, that we are his friends when we submit to him. Because God is the one that provides life in abundance. Okay? So real harmony, real true peace and harmony can only come from him. So we are God's friends when we submit unto him. He is the only friend that exists that is entitled to demand submission. That's God. Okay? So you cannot be anyone's friend out there if you're not a friend of God. Why? Because to be friends with someone means that you operate in life and abundance on someone else's behalf. And who is the source of life and abundance? Christ is. So if true friendship implies that you operate in life and abundance on behalf of someone else, that means you must have life and abundance yourself first. If you don't have life and abundance first, you can't be friends with anyone, because you don't know the real meaning of friendship. The Most High is a friend towards everyone, but he's not a friend with everyone. For example, the Most High is not a friend with Satan. Why? Because Satan is no friends with anyone. He isn't. Satan cannot be friends with anyone because he is self-destructive. He is in self-pity all the time, and he only concerns himself with someone else if they can gratify him. So Satan has no friends. Okay? The Most High has friends, but because there are some creatures who chose the dark way, they become his enemies. But here's the thing: God is not an enemy to anyone. Fallen beings become an enemy of God. So let's get it straight. So real true friendship implies you submit to Christ, and now you can extend this harmony and peace with other people. So what worldlings call friendship is really affectionate attachment. You are attached to someone in an affectionate way, and because this affectionate attachment feels good, they are friends. That's what they call friendship in the world. In the Greek, they call it philia. So it's a familiar affection. Now, when it comes to walking by faith, that philia thing, that narcissistic affection that they call friendship in the world, we must unlearn it. And here's the thing: when you're friends with someone, you look after them. When you're friends with someone, the other individual submits to correction when it's appropriate. If you're friends with someone, you both are humble and you learn from one another. So friendship goes both ways. Both have to be humble and both have to be willing to operate in life and abundance. So if you have people who are bitter and in self-pity and they hang out together, they're just clogged together because they're all negative, and you have this clogging of negative energy, and that keeps them together. Those are not friends, those are comrades. The difference between a friend and a comrade is, a friend is someone you recognize that he is valuable and you're valuable too, and both you work on a valuable outcome. That's a friend. Okay? And Only when you submit to Christ can you truly discern what valuable is for the long term. Okay? So there's no such thing as friendship outside of Christ. All right? So, a friend is someone you build with. A comrade is someone you fight with against someone else. And most people in this world, they have comrades. Camaraderie is quite strong. When people are comrades of each other, they can get along, they can party with one another, they can feel at home with one another, they can even entrust things to one another, but it's camaraderie. And camaraderie is often mistaken as true friendship in the world. But here's the thing, camaraderie can only remain as long as there's a third party upon whom everyone dumps. So it goes like this. You have Rick and you have Morty. I know there's a show called Rick and Morty. I'm using those names as consultant now. You have Rick and Morty. Rick comes from the US military. Morty comes from the British military. And both Britain and the United States are opposed to Russia. So now Rick meets Morty and they get along well. Why do they get along well? Now, they're both from an English-speaking country. That's one thing. So they have that in common. And they have in common that they're all opposed to Russia. So now, at the expense of Russia, they develop a strong tie with one another as military men from two countries. Or let me give another example. At the office, you have two women that work at the office. They're both feminists. And then there's a third woman coming in, and she doesn't share this feminist ideology. The two feminists begin to hate the non-feminists, and they encounter one another and realize that they have the same hatred towards the same woman, and this clogging of their negative energies together binds them together. Sometimes it even turns into sodomy. That's this clogging of negative energy, but anyway, it's camaraderie. Camaraderie is strong. Camaraderie motivates people, but there needs to be a third party to dump upon. Friendship doesn't need a third party to dump upon, because friendship is occupied with building and being constructive. Now, can worldlings be constructive with one another? Yes, they can. But even when worldlings are constructive with one another, it's still based on some type of relief they're seeking. Because that's how worldlings are mentally. So worldlings have something that's similar to friendship, that comes close to it, but it's not really friendship. What worldlings have is affectionate camaraderie. That's what they have. But here's the thing, you may say, but Rashid, I thought that in friendship there's no third party to dump upon. That's what I said. Worldlings don't have real friendship. They have something that comes close to it, that looks like it. So, but Rashid, what if there's nobody to dump upon? How can it still be camaraderie? You may have people come together and they want to fight climate change. Or they may come together and they want to fight institutionalized racism. They may come together and they want to fight violence against women. They want to deal with, or you may have people come together hunting down pedophiles. So they come together having something that they hate, something they want to oppose, and because it's not directly someone that they're hating, but more an activity like pedophilia, or more a system like white supremacy, you don't think that it's camaraderie. You think it's friendship they developing, but it's really camaraderie. Look, the best you can have in the world is affectionate camaraderie. That's the best you can get. And when people are infatuated with one another in camaraderie, they look up to one another. So it feels like real love, but it isn't. Because the moment the target is killed, or the moment the issue they're fighting against is resolved, they all become strangers to one another. Some of you may have experienced a similar thing. You were in high school and you had to do exams to complete high school. And in high school, you had those groups that hang out with one another. They were very close. They shared everything with one another. They got their high school diploma, and suddenly they're strangers. Or you went to college, you joined a fraternity or a sorority. I don't recommend you do that. Please don't. But okay, let's say you joined a fraternity or sorority. You had that intense bond with those people. They felt like family to you. You even began to distance yourself from your own relatives and hung out more with them. Then you graduate college or graduate university, And within a year after you graduate and you enter the workplace, nobody contacts you anymore. They even block your social media and whatever. So the world has affectionate camaraderie. And unbelievers, those without Christ, they perceive this affectionate camaraderie as true love. It is not. Because in true love, in real friendship, there is real charity. Charity that doesn't go at your expense. Charity that doesn't require to look down on you that's receiving it. In Christ, you are the mission, in the sense that Christ wants you to operate in his absolute joy all the time. So you are the end goal. Let's say it correctly. You are the mission in true friendship. Now the end goal, the absolute end goal is Christ himself, because everything works to the glory of Christ. But in the glory of Christ, you are the mission. You matter. You're important. In camaraderie, it's the relief that the population gets from hating that individual or that group, that cause. That is what matters. Now because you adapt to the hatred of the scapegoat or the hatred of the thing that everyone hates, you become similar to everyone hating that thing. And this similarity that you share with other people, you perceive that as a true strong bond. And it is a strong bond, but it's not true. Because the moment you reflect on yourself and you begin to heal from the toxic ways of thinking of the world, you don't fit in anymore. People just drop you. So, friendship with the world is impossible because the world has no friendship. So what they call friendship in the world is camaraderie. So, you cannot be invested in the camaraderies of the world and operate in true faith at the same time. You can walk in love towards everyone, including worldlings, but you can't walk in love with them. Okay? So, that is how you relate to worldlings as a believer. You walk in love towards them, you have basic human consideration towards them, you have empathy towards them, that's all correct. But when it comes to long-term investment for the long run, you invest in believers, and indirectly, worldlings can benefit from it if Christ permits. But you're not going to deeply invest in worldlings, because worldlings, the best you can have is affectionate camaraderie. Okay? And in affectionate camaraderie, there's always toxicity, because everyone is dumping on a scapegoat or on something that they can't stand. Okay? So, in that case, you have to be just as toxic as they are into dumping for them to be at ease with you. So you have to have some open wound in you that hurts for you to be part of them. And that open wound makes you vulnerable to predators and to violence. So to partake in the affectionate camaraderie of the world, you have to become wounded and you have to become vulnerable to predators. And because of that, the world has a grip on you that they can harm you and blackmail you. So to have the affectionate camaraderie of the world, they must have something on you to blackmail you. And true friends don't want to blackmail one another. True friends invest in one another. So, don't seek the affectionate camaraderie of the world, which they call friendship. Operate in the true friendship that comes from Christ, and you can extend this to other people. And if people don't want to participate in that friendship, that means they are in idolatry, and you shake them out for you, and you continue. Okay? So, invest in other believers, and invest in the people God entrusts to you. Sometimes God will bring unbelievers to you for you to minister unto them, because those unbelievers are soon to become believers. So they are prospect believers. The Most High will send prospect believers to you to minister unto. Invest in them, but don't go into the world and start investing in the world, because the worldly people, they're not good in their head. Worldlings, till their teenage years, you can still deal with them. Okay? But the moment they're in the teenage years and they have the sexual development and they see how the world is, or begin to realize that things are off, and they don't choose to look for solutions, but they persist in relief, from that point on they become toxic. And the longer they live, the more toxic they become. So worldlings, they are dedicated to avoid reality. So worldlings, they become delusional over time. So you cannot invest in delusional people and have good outcomes. You can't invest in delusional people and be safe. That's not possible. So, are you a friend of God? If you are, keep walking by faith and be at peace.